Hi there, this is Crystal and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm working in a traveler's notebook. This is my 2018 Highlights Traveler's Notebook, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably seen this before. Basically, I've taken one photo per month, one photo that has a special meaning or story that has a special meaning to me personally, and I've added it to this book. So this is kind of my personal highlights of the year, and I am currently on July. So this is the photo I have for, no, I am on August. This is July. I'm on August. This is the photo that I have for August. It's me singing with my band. This was our very first real gig. So that's the photo I'm going to document today. As you can see, this is super chunky already, and I still have quite a few more months to go. I'm probably going to be working mostly outside of it and then gluing things in because I don't think I can do much, at least on this side. I might be able to work on this side, but it's going to be super hard to work on this side, so I'm probably going to have to add something over the top of this page. As for supplies, I've pulled out just a random selection of things. Since this is literally about me, I decided to make it a little bit more girly than my usual pages. So I have a lot of pink things that I haven't used from previous Citrus Twist kits. I have some paper and a journal card and some other embellishments that I thought went well with this spread. I also have a couple of stamp sets. I have this one from Pink Fresh Studio, designed by Brandy Kincaid. It has some celebratory phrases, so I thought that would be appropriate. And then I also have my dated stamp from Ellie's Studio, which I plan to use to date this spread. And then I also grabbed a couple of other things. I was actually looking for a title for this spread, and I didn't really find one that I know I want to use, so I've pulled out just a bunch of different options. I had this sticker sheet. It's an old one from Echo Park. It's Everyday Eclectic by Alison Kreft. But the colors really went well with the things that I had pulled out, so I decided to grab it and set it here just in case I want to use it. And I also have this stickers sheet from, this is a Dear Lizzie collection. I'm not sure which one it's from, but I really liked Always Groovy and Hip Hip Hooray. And even though they're chipboard and I'm trying to keep things really flat right now, I figured I can always tear off some of the back and use this anyway. So I may use that, but then that made me think of the sticker book, so I also grabbed a couple of those. So I have Maggie Holmes and Dear Lizzie, just in case I feel like I need some more embellishment, more than I have already pulled out here. So that's all I know so far. I'm just going to kind of play around and see what I can come up with, and yeah, I'll put you on fast forward and get started.
So before we get too far into this video, I have to explain a couple things about this layout. First of all, I recorded this video way back in the beginning of January, which explains the big fluffy onesie I'm wearing while I create. And secondly, the whole thing ends up being a bit of a disaster. So a lot goes wrong, and I'm not super crazy about the end product, but the thing is that it's in a traveler's notebook that I've already created 7 spreads in, and I can't really start over. I can't just toss it and start with something fresh. So I have to make it work. So in the end, it's not terrible. It's not my favorite spread, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I play around quite a bit. This video is a little bit longer than usual, but I wanted you to see that, you know, not everything goes perfectly. Things sometimes go terribly wrong, and if you watch my channel for any amount of time, you know that happens to me quite often. But I think it's important to share the good and the bad on this channel, so that's what I'm doing. So while I've been blabbering on, I've just been trimming down my photo and trimming down some papers to go into the album. I have used that Project Life card from Citrus Twist as kind of the base for the left-hand side of my spread, and I'm going to end up using this chipboard piece. And I know that I said I could pull off the backing, but I don't. I just end up sticking it straight down, so it's a bit chunky in the album, but it's okay. It still works. And then I add a black die cut that says "This Way for Fun" to the bottom, and I really like how the black elements that I add to this spread kind of counteracts all of this pink and pastel colors. I guess, well, they're not really pastel, they're a bit brighter than pastel, but it's a lot of pink, and I'm not that big of a pink fan. So I really like how the black adds just a little bit of something stronger to the page. So I add a few elements that are black. So I just added a bit of that same pink paper behind my photo that just echoes that from the left-hand side of the spread and gives something to set the photo off from the white background. So I disappeared for a minute and remembered that I had another set of stickers from this same collection, the same Dear Lizzie collection. I think it's Stay Colorful, that chipboard piece was from. So I found those in my stash, and I'm going to end up using a few things from this sticker sheet before the whole spread is finished. So I did find that little flag and I added it to the top of my photo, and then another little black tab that says Bravest You. That is another Citrus Twist Kit piece. And then just a little label behind that, just really to give something behind those elements and kind of fill in that space. That was also a Citrus Twist Kits tag or a label. So I want to add in another color besides pink. So I grabbed my 6x6 papers and I've recently reorganized them. So I've taken them all out of their little paper pads and I've organized them by color in this little basket. And I find that I use them a lot more this way because I don't have to search through every single paper pad that I have just to find a teal polka dot paper like this one. I can just go and look through the ones that are in the right color and then choose from there. So most of my 6x6 paper pads are rather old anyway, so I'm not creating strictly from those collections anymore. They're really just like extra paper. So this works for me. And I found this teal polka dot paper. I think this is a Pebbles paper if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just cutting a little piece of it to go behind the top portion of my photo. I struggle with my tape runner quite a bit throughout this video. I don't use that tape runner anymore, but I was still using it at this time, and you can see I got tape on the front of my photo as well. But I print my photos at home using Canon Glossy 2 paper, and it does pretty well with whenever I get something on it. I'm usually able to get it off without damaging the photo at all, so I didn't have to actually reprint this. And here's where I switched to some double-sided tape instead of that tape runner because it was just driving me crazy. And this does take me some time to peel off, but I've cut most of that out for you so you don't have to watch me struggle with the backing on this double-sided tape. But I was getting a little bit frustrated at this point, which you know, is never a good place to be when you're creating, which also may be why it doesn't turn out that great in the end, but oh well. So I grabbed that stamp set from Pinkfish Studio and Brandy Kincaid, and there's a stamp on it that says, "Oh Happy Day," and I decided to stamp that on that banner, but it doesn't work. I stamp it once, you can't really read it. I stamp it again, and it's smudged and looks terrible. So I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna figure out a way to cover it up. I try a couple things from that sticker sheet to see if I can layer them on top of that banner sticker. That yellow heart was just a little bit too small, so I try another yellow heart from the sticker sheet, and then I add a few phrase stickers to it, but I don't really like the way it looks. I'm gonna leave it there for a little while, but I'll eventually find a better solution. I use some of these phrase stickers from Citrus Twist as well as from that Dear Lizzie sticker sheet. And it just, it covers too much of the heart, so you can't really see the heart, and it's still not covering all of that stamped mess behind there, and that just looks like a big glob of mess up there. But like I said, I find a better solution here in a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm just going to continue embellishing the rest of the spread, so I add another sticker to the bottom of the other side that just says awesome. And then I'm going to start adhering things down. So I add more double-sided tape to the back of my photo cluster, and I'm going to glue that down to the right side of the spread. Again, I don't make you watch me try and tear all the backing off of this tape. I start to add tape to the other side of the spread, but before I actually glue that down, I decide to add a few more stamps Since that album or that notebook is so chunky, it's impossible to stamp on this side of the spread. So I'm going to add a few stamps before I glue it down. And I'm just using, again, that same Pinkfresh Studio stamp set designed by Brandy Kincaid. So I'm going to try that same stamp again, the one that says, "Oh, happy day." Works much better now. I switched inks and I'm stamping on plain paper instead of that slick sticker surface. There's also a little star outline stamp on this stamp set, so I'm going to stamp a few of those onto the page as well, both above and below the little journal card that's in the center. I'm going to add another sentiment stamp that says "Celebrate," I believe. Yes, "Celebrate" to the bottom there, and then I have a spot to cluster those stars around. And now that I've got everything stamped the way I want it, I can adhere that to the backing page. Of course, I get ink all over me and all over my table every time, without fail. I'm a super messy stamper. Oh, that's right. Before I glue it down, I decided that the stars just look a little bit plain, so I'm going to color them in. And I just grabbed, these are just like Bic markers. They're like Sharpie, but they're Bic brand. And I'm just searching through my stash to find some that kind of match the colors that are already on this spread. And I'm just going to fill in those hearts. No, they're stars. I'm going to fill in those stars with the markers. And that just adds a little bit more color. It gives a little bit more interest. Like I said, they were just looking a little bit out of place and a little bit plain. So I color all of these in, but I don't make you watch that whole thing since I'm sure you all know how to color. And now I can finally glue that page down to the left side of the spread. So I just, to make sure that I had it in the right place, I started by just removing one piece of the tape and then glued it down to the page, and then I can remove the others. And that way, if it's not quite in the right place, I don't have the entire thing glued down and have to try to pull the whole thing up. Okay, so back to the stamp. I'm looking for other things I may be able to stamp on the right-hand side. Apparently I didn't find anything just yet, but I do end up adding some stamps over there. It's definitely looking a little plain to me on the right side, so I'm searching for things that I can add from both the sticker sheet and the chipboard pack, both from that Stay Colorful collection. I like this Stay Magical, but it didn't look quite right to me. So instead I find a little phrase sticker that says Stay Colorful, and I'm going to add that right there to the bottom of my photo. And then I can add some more stamping. So I find a stamp that says Yay, and I add that to that top label, just to the very left side of that label where there's just a little bit of open space. And to be honest, it looks a little awkward, and I kind of regretted doing it, but that just is par for the course with this layout, so it's hardly the worst thing that happens. And then there's also a stamp that says Everybody Clap Now, which I thought was just really perfect for this spread because I'm so nervous when I'm up there on stage that nobody's gonna like it and nobody's gonna clap, and so I'm always kind of thinking to myself, everyone just clap now. So yeah, I thought that was pretty perfect. And then I add some puffy stars from this Citrus Twist Kits puffy sticker set. That just adds some more stars to both sides of the page. And now that I have this puffy sticker set out, I see this flag sticker that says Brave, and I think maybe that will work to cover up my stamping mess on this other flag. But of course, to make it work, I'm going to have to put it the wrong way, kind of put it, yeah, just like that on the spread. And it's, again, a little bit awkward, but at least it covers up that ugly stamping mess and looks better than that cluster of stickers did. So yeah, it could be worse. So before I get any further, I'm going to go ahead and add my date stamp for this spread, and I have been using this Ellie Studio dated stamp pretty consistently in this album, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to the very bottom of the page, just using that same black ink that I was using before. And then I think next I decide that it's looking pretty plain, and I think the right thing to do is to add some watercolor. I have no idea why I thought this, but yeah, that's what I do. I add watercolor splatters all over the entire page, not in a particular spot, not clustered around the embellishments, just basically everywhere on the page. And I decide to do it in like 5 different colors too. I think it looks pretty much just like a mess when it's all over. It's really messy, really colorful. It's not my normal style at all, and I guess yeah, I mean, like I said, it could be worse, and it's totally fine. It's staying in the album. It'll be fine, and maybe someday I'll look back on it and think it's not as bad as I thought it was. But right now I'm thinking, what have I done? But yeah, it's okay. The story is still documented. It's still a part of my notebook. It'll be fine. I also make a complete mess on my desk while I do this. So that's pretty much it. I add some journaling after I shut the camera off, and you can see that here in the close-up photos. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks again, and I'll see you back here soon.